Welcome to the Future of Supply Chain, presented by Dynamo. Each episode, we sit down with leaders in the industry as we build the future of supply chain together. Let's get into the show. Here's our host, Santosh Sankar.
Hey, ladies and gents, welcome back to the Future Supply Chain Podcast. I'm your host, Santosh Sankar. Joining me today is Mark Becker, CEO of G10 Fulfillment. Welcome, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we're going to jump into all kinds of topics of conversation today, but I'd love to just start off with, tell us a bit about G10. Want to level set kind of some of the know-how understanding amongst our listeners.
Yeah, so G10, I have the founder's story back in 2009. I used to work for actually Milwaukee Tools, and a colleague of mine got the job to sell Milwaukee Tools to Amazon.com. And it was really his idea, where he came to me and said, Amazon's trying to go from being the bookstore to the everything store. And they're having a lot of issues with manufacturers not being able to package the products correctly, channel conflict, not putting UPCs on the product, not having the right content on the product. There was just a host of issues that in order to sell things other than books, they needed a distributor to kind of come in the middle to do this quickly. So that was the need. And I was talking to my friend and he said, man, someone could start a company doing this. So I was at a point in my life where I had a few friends that could help me do it. We started the business in a 10,000 square foot airplane hangar in Burlington, Wisconsin. And it was that grassroots story of we started with GE appliance parts, and we were sourcing the product, buying it, putting it in our little warehouse, putting the products on the floor, picking the product, get orders on Monday, pick it all week. Monday, and the next Monday, Amazon sends us another order. We pick it all week, and we just started operating, and we just started grinding. And the trick was we were hitting at that point kind of Amazon's metrics that they were looking for. And they just started sending us lists of manufacturers to say, hey, here's an issue we have with this manufacturer, this manufacturer. These guys don't do EDI. That's the only thing they need. Can you come in and solve this problem for us? And that was really what the company was built on, was really this Amazon focus. Now, since then, now we're like 36 million cubic square feet of warehouses spread across the country. We sell more than just to Amazon. We're, Walmart, e-commerce, B2B, we kind of do the gamut. But how it was all started was a simple idea. The simple idea was essentially help manufacturers sell product to Amazon.
Mm-hmm. And what's the Mark Becker story kind of prior to that kind of aha moment, which was so simple in theory, much more complex as you've come to find?
Yeah,
I
try to simplify things. That's a little bit of my way. But no, the Mark Becker story was I went to Ripon College, and from Ripon, graduated, didn't know what I wanted to do, moved to Colorado and scanned lift tickets on the mountains in Breckenridge, basically ski bummed it for 2 years. Thought, at that point I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And a friend of mine back in Wisconsin was actually in kind of a headhunter role. And they were the ones who called me and said, we've got this job at Milwaukee Tools where you can travel the country, promote Milwaukee Tools. It's almost like a truck and a trailer. We had all the new Milwaukee Tools. We traveled from Wisconsin down to Memphis, over to Atlanta, all the way up the coast to Boston. And every single day I was in front of contractors selling power tools. And that was really, when I look back at it, that was my real first dive into business and into how to sell, how it all works. I came up with, all the bad jokes that you need to move into a new city every day and build relationship and understand how people work and why people want to buy things. And I transitioned that job, which was a marketing on the road job with Milwaukee Tools, into working on their product development team. I actually helped them launch their first version of lithium ion batteries for their, I think it was called the V18, if I remember right. It was 20 years ago now. And Moved down to Phoenix, did that for a while. Then got the opportunity to work in the sales department. So then worked in the sales department, had my accounts, learned what customers were looking for on the B2B side, because I was selling to Hardware Hanks and Ace Hardwares, and getting in to figure out what those customers were looking as far as deals and inventory levels that they wanted to keep. And that's where my colleague had the same role I had, and he got the job with Amazon. So he went and started selling products to Amazon, and I went to work for a distributor for Milwaukee Tools. So it was my first real jump into management, and small company wholesaler. And we were buying Milwaukee Tools, DeWalt, Makita, Panasonic, and we were buying in bulk and then reselling to these Hardware Hanks and very small hardware stores. And that's what gave me the confidence, really, to, when the opportunity presented itself, to kind of go out on my own and launch G10.
What was it that you saw there, right? Was it the fact that volume was pricing out kind of your everyday tradesman or the mom and pop repair capability, or was it something else kind of you were pulling on?
Yes. So I graduated college in 2001, and I had an Amazon account. So I had an Amazon account pretty early and was buying books off of it, and really thought it was a neat tool that had a lot of growth potential. So when my friend got the job to work for Milwaukee Tools in the capacity of selling to Amazon, I thought that was the coolest thing. And he actually moved to Seattle. He was in their building. His only account was Amazon, and they were just trying to figure out how to grow Milwaukee Tools. And I always stayed in touch with them, but that was really intriguing to me. And so I got to watch them try to get into the power tool side. And when I got an opportunity to actually participate in it, I thought, I think I was just lucky in that, because I was a big Amazon customer, I had the confidence they could sell everything else. I can tell you, and as crazy as this is, in 2009, when I started this and was telling people Amazon is going to sell more than just books, they're going to sell everything, a lot of people told me, I don't know how that's going to work. Books make so much sense because of the size and how you can ship it, but I really don't see that you could go outside much of the books category. They were wrong. And, today I'm shipping lawnmowers, through the Amazon ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so stepping ahead here, with introduction of same day delivery, real-time visibility, customer demands, they might have skyrocketed in some sense, but I would probably describe it as like they've become increasingly sophisticated, right? It's not just what I want at the right price. It's when I want it, where I want it delivered. Is it in this particular fashion? Is it in that particular fashion? There's kind of been this perfect storm on the customer end. How has that evolved G10 service model? How do you kind of keep up? Because it feels like goalposts might be shifting on us, if not, every 6 months, certainly every year.
Yeah.
Right?
So I lean in. I think that's the key two words, lean in. Every time Amazon made a change these last 15 years, a lot of people's initial reaction would be, oh, they're changing the rules on us again. They're making it even harder. They're going from wanting it in 7 days to 6 days. And I bet in 60 days, they're going to ask for it to be in 5 days. And, they're adding chargebacks, and they're always adding these compliance rules that for most people look like a pain point. And I just had it in my mind to always look at them as a differentiator. Every time Amazon came out with a new hard thing to do, I said, hey guys, we need to master this. We need to be the best at it. And then someone's not going to want to do this. And that's our newest customer. So every single time Amazon tightened the belt on us, I actually think it helped G10 because it was that much harder to do business with Amazon. So they needed a partner like us. And you're right. I mean, it is constantly changing. And would I have thought 15 years ago that I needed warehouses all across the country? I wouldn't, and I can tell you, I have had so many conversations about what makes sense. One really large warehouse in the Midwest, 3 warehouses, one on the East, one in the Midwest, one on the West Coast. Do I need to try to mimic the Amazon system and have essentially a warehouse in every single city? And is that the goal? We've done a ton of analyzing and looking into this exact question of, what does it look like for us to scale? Where we're at in that journey, and keep in mind it changes every 6 months. Where we're currently at in that journey, though, is we have warehouses in Wisconsin, Charleston, South Carolina, Arlington, Texas, Phoenix, Reno, and we really work with then our manufacturers, and it's really what their sales volume is, the type of product they have that then drives if they use one of our warehouses in the Midwest, if they use 2 of our warehouses, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. And for some of our really large customers, they actually have product in every single one of our warehouses.
And is that a part of a kind of network optimization you help them do based on understanding their demand when they come on board? Or how should one kind of think about that? Because I feel like this is certainly a hot topic amongst the various stakeholders in industry right now.
Yeah, it is. And it's a big math problem. So, you take the shipping rates and figure out, if you have your last 12 months of history of shipments and sales, you can back into that number fairly easily. In the world of AI and Chat GPT, you can almost do it in 20 minutes. It's pretty crazy. But if you have the right data to put into the system, it'll spit out a really good answer for you. And volume is key. Volume and type of product, like big, bulky product that costs a ton to ship. We have some large customers in that category where they have products literally in every single one of our warehouses because that's what makes sense. For smaller products and especially low to medium volume, the Midwest or even Texas seem to be great locations. In the Midwest, you can get to New York City in 2 days, and you can get to Colorado in 2, and even pretty close to California in 3 days.
Yeah.
So you fit a lot of your customers' needs with centrally located warehouses. What we try to provide, though, is then the ability for our merchants to continue to scale. And what they sometimes need to do that is a warehouse closer to their customers, where the shipping rates then substantially decrease on that last mile.
Sure.
But it's a math problem. Really, yeah. You can do all of that at the very beginning with historical sales data.
How's kind of the changes in de minimis exemptions kind of created perhaps headwinds for customers, perhaps tailwinds for those that serve this customer base? But kind of what's the state of the nation at G10 in this regard?
It's a big change, and it's just happening. And I'm looking forward to what it means for us. I think it's pretty easy for me to sit back and say this should benefit G10. There is a ton of products coming over the border, going directly from a factory in Asia to a customer. And some of that product is even going through Amazon warehouses using like the FBA model. I don't know if that's in the gray area, I think, of how that de minimis should be used, but I guarantee it's being used that way all the time. And with that coming to an end, the solution seems to be to lean in on 3PLs like myself and using our warehouse and warehouse network to bring in containers at a time, store the product, and come up with a solution to help reduce those costs that, they're going to get, for most people, I don't think they'll be able to continue shipping the way, for most people that were using that, the de minimis, they're not going to be able to do it anymore. So they got to come up with a new answer. At this point in the next, 60, 90 days, partnering with a US 3PL is probably the answer. Then the question comes down to, did the merchant have the margin available if their costs do go up because they now have to use US warehousing? Do they have the margin there to still make it work. I read an article earlier today where they were talking about, the big shift could be some of these brands are not going to be able to spend as much on marketing as they were. Maybe that's where they go find this money. There's been a lot of money spent on marketing in the last 3-4 years to build brands. And maybe they have to figure out a cheaper, different way to do that, because they're going to have more costs bringing that product into the US with this new, with de minimis going away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so shifting away from de minimis, but maybe operationally, this is all intertwined. The thing that I've observed over the years, a decade kind of being in and around this industry broadly, is there's this tension at some point where as customers grow, or if they already have scale, they in part are looking for a certain price. And that price is dictated on the margin embedded in their products, as you had just mentioned. But they equally want this kind of white glove service, best of breed, ultra responsive. And one can certainly deliver that, but it might be at perhaps a more premium price point in the eyes of a customer, perhaps. But how do you kind of balance that? Because efficiencies come through standardization. And white glove service, there might be a more tailored element to it that flies in the face of that.
Yeah.
But be curious what your philosophy is of operating that.
Absolutely. So, one of the things we try to be for our customer is the one-stop shop. And our ideal customer has both D2C and B2B shipments. So with that being said, what we've learned is you can do a really good job at automating the D2C side. A Shopify order comes in the exact same way every time. There's a couple of different ways to automate it and increase speed and accuracy. But most warehouses out there that are in that world have figured out how to automate that process. Then you move over to the B2B side, and it's just not that. The B2B side still requires a lot of white glove hand holding, a lot of communication between the account management team with the merchant and your own warehouse. And you have to have this open line of communication. And that's where we, I think, strive, is we do a really good job on B2B and a really good job on D2C. We've made a huge effort to blend the two. And for that, we don't try to go to the bottom on price. We really try to say our goal is to be a highly accurate, very fast shipper with great communication. And for that, there's a bit of a premium on the price, but that's the space we want to live in. And it's a big space. And what we've found, we're not a Seva Logistics. We're not a huge player. If you provide good service and you're good at communicating, you can demand a price to make a decent margin in this, in the warehousing world.
That makes sense. I sometimes describe it as you pick your level of service, you get a price that's commensurate with that demand of level of service.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily need be in conflict because they are so intertied.
Yeah. No, and with that being said, in warehousing, volume matters a lot. Yes. So bigger customers, you can leverage some of these processes and gain efficiencies. To be just totally upfront about how the whole system works on our end is you can do a lot of work on the front end to figure out how best to ship this product and what you need to do. But it isn't until you actually have the brand and you're shipping the products that a lot of the really cool efficiencies can get put in place. So you're actually touching the product and learning, this could ship a different way. We could use robotics on this process, but this process still needs a cluster card or whatever variation of how we can pick the product and improve efficiencies. And we just did this with one of our customers where we did a time study with them. We changed the process. We actually gave them a price reduction. We're making the same margin, but we figured out a faster way to do it. And it's our goal to make our merchants feel like we are their warehouse, right?
Yeah.
That's always got to be in our mind. Like, if we can improve an efficiency and save money, if we don't pass that on, then we're not acting like we're their warehouse.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And so you mentioned robotics. You recently struck a partnership with a
Zebra.
heavyweight in the industry, Zebra. How do you think about what is your philosophy to investment in automation? It's I know complex where sometimes there could be large upfront costs, but as you look at kind of the day-to-day or the operational level benefit, it's hard to ignore. But kind of curious how you've approached this and kind of waded into the world of robots.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon's proved out a lot of this stuff for us. I think they just announced a month or two ago that they have more robots than people now in their warehouses. The type of robots we are using and implementing, they've been using for 10 years. It's now becoming affordable for warehouses like myself to use it. And we're starting to get some big players like Zebra entering into this space that warehouses have a lot of trust in already. Warehouses already do a lot of business with Zebra. So I think they're a great fit to serve in this robotics, picking and packing and figuring out how to work with us to improve those efficiencies. Again, it really comes down to a math problem. And for us, we were able to say to Zebra, here's how many D2C orders we have. And we use most of our robotics on the D2C orders, but here's how many we have. Here's how we're picking them. We're picking them in this many orders in cluster carts and this many orders in batch. We essentially have the layout of our warehouses set up. They came in with their team, and we could figure out just through the data that we get about 30 to 40% efficiency with the program and the robots that they're putting in place. One of the neat things though to some of the robotics that's coming in for us at the same time that AI is really being able to be layered on top of it. So it's a combo deal, really. It's robots plus smart software that is really starting to take away, foot travel in the warehouse.
Have you found that there are particular activities that you start with automating away, perhaps it's particular SKU types? How do you kind of, when you look at kind of your system and engine in a facility that, hey, let's start here when we kind of think about robotics investment and maybe over time we end up over here?
Yeah. I think we did it the way most do it, where we started really simple. It was things like we had a program and it's mostly customer driven, right? A customer has something and then we look and see how we can solve it. We had a customer who we were kidding the same thing over and over and over and over. And we had people doing it. We thought, I'm pretty sure we could buy a box machine to take away some of the labor involved. And it's labor that people didn't like doing, folding the boxes, taping the boxes. So we built so this is 10, 12 years ago, we built a line and put in a machine that essentially can build the box. From there you go, gosh, we could do the same thing with a label. We could put a machine at the end of this and get rid of the hand labeling that's just taking up a lot of time. Employees don't like doing it. And using this concept, someone else said this to me, but I think it was good advice. Was a lot of this stuff is essentially like a contractor going from using a manual screwdriver to a cordless screw gun. You still need people, and you still need, really what ends up happening is a little like AI is working for a lot of office employees right now. Everyone can be more efficient, and you get whatever it is, depends on what you're doing, but 20 to 30% more out of everyone. And I like looking at it that way, where, with our growth, our employee headcount has never shrunk as we've added robots. It just hasn't. And a little that's because we keep adding new clients and we keep, fueling the machine. But But as we look at robots, it's usually something we're already doing manually. It's repetitive, and we hire a company to come in, like Zebra, and essentially help us analyze it, come up with a solution, and then implement it. So, the first ones were kitting and labeling. Now we're to the point where it's getting to look really neat. I love showing off our warehouses right now because we have, it's essentially a robot that picks up a cart for picking. It drives out into the aisles, and then the pickers are kind of zoned into the aisles, and the carts move to where the product needs to be picked. And the picker just finds the location that the item is, picks the item, the cart's there, they drop it in. And it's really this dance between the robot and the pickers that is about a 30 to 40% faster way to do it. And there's accuracy in there too. Accuracy and tracking. You really have a ton of visibility into all the touches, into where the robots and how fast they're going. So then there's more data to learn and be better. I'm pretty excited about it. So we'll see where it goes from here, but that's how we approach adding robots into the system.
And so as you kind of survey the industry landscape around us, if there was a particular trend in fulfillment that you believe to be overhyped, what would it be and why?
The easy answer for me on that is kind of right back to what I was saying, that robots can do it all. That you're going to get into these spots where in B2B warehousing, can you get to a point where robots are 80% of the workforce? I don't think that is on the horizon. Now, we might get there one day. And I was just at a convention the other day where, they had a robot, reaching an arm into a bin, picking a single item out, turning, putting it into a cart. So they've started to try to build essentially like humans in that space. I think that's probably what's a little overhyped right now. I think you still need a big blend of robots and people need to be trained and skilled on how to use these robots. And it's really the people are first. The robots are making them 30 to 40% more efficient. It's not the other way around.
Mm. And if you believe there's something that's underhyped, what would that be?
Underhyped, is I've seen a few articles out there that don't love the idea of trying to mimic so I'd say 10 years ago, everyone was trying to say, I want to build the other Amazon network. And there was a lot of hype there. I think you've seen a shift in that there are some warehouses out there right now that are saying, no, just use, get 3 warehouses or 2 warehouses across the country. I think in 5 to 10 years, you'll fall short if you don't have the ability to have warehouses spread throughout all the country. And I don't know the exact number you need. My goal in the short term is to have Northeast, Southeast, kind of North Central, South Central, Northwest, Southwest. I think that's going to be just table stakes 5 years from now, that if you don't have that and you're not able to basically provide Prime to every location, and Prime's going to be, for 2-day shipping for Amazon, 2-day shipping for Walmart, 2-day shipping for Target, like all the big retailers are going to want that. So in the space I'm in, I think if you're not scaling to be in all the regions, you'll be left behind.
Mm. And so I'm going to bring us home here, Mark, and I like to finish on a fun note. And for today's episode, we're going to do a bit of this or that. I'm going to give you 2 options, and just whatever the option you prefer the most, I just want you to pick it and in 10 seconds explain why. You ready?
Let's go for it.
All righty. First up, inbound chaos or outbound chaos?
I'll go with inbound chaos. Outbound chaos is customer facing, and It's a little more of a pressure cooker environment. Inbound chaos, you can kind of manage it in, you get a little more time to deal with it.
Next up, just in time or just in case?
I like just in case. Just in time has been tested here in the last 6 or 7 years with COVID and some of this logistics disruption. As a warehouse, that has caused a lot of strain, not only on me, but also the merchants. I mean, just in case, if you can have the right inventory levels to manage through a 3, 4, even 6 month spell in disruption, I think it makes life easier for everyone. And you probably lose less sales and make more money in the long run if you can afford it.
And finally, robots or people?
People. That's an easy one. Our business is completely, the lifeblood is the people. Our warehouses, it takes a ton of smart people to organize it and to understand the systems and follow the SOPs. And then communication is key. Still today, like almost the number one thing to fix an issue or resolve a problem is if you can communicate it the right way with the customer, with the shipping carrier. If you have people managing the process, you can almost always come out with a win. Robots still can't do that.
Love that. It's spot on. Mark, it was great to have you on. I know we covered a lot of items around and related to fulfillment, operating fulfillment operations. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Wish you and the G10 team best of luck, and love to see kind of more robots and people making it happen together.
Well, come on out to our warehouse anytime. We'd love to show off the Zebra robots in action, and appreciate the time today.
Awesome. Cheers.
Thanks for watching. Follow us at dynamo.vc for all the latest episodes. We'll see you next time.